This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change filled with exciting surprises and grand challenges. And with its spaciousness, power, and style, the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. From the spacious adult-sized third row to seating for up to 8 passengers, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
British Spy Stories Season 4 Double Agent Episode 14 The smell of cooking drifts up the stairs of the safe house Sigma 17 on Concordiastrasse in Zurich as Kate walks in from the cold air outside.
"Gordon,"
she says,
"if you ever want to get married and cook for me every day, will you let me know?"
"You'll be the first on my list, Kate." He smiles at her. She sits and he puts plates of eggs and bacon on the table for them both, and they eat and talk animatedly. Gabby appears after a few minutes, and after food they collect their notebooks and go to the sunroom and sit down with cups of coffee.
"Right,"
says Gabby.
"Operation Barwood, status meeting."
They take turns to talk about progress from their perspective. Gabby listens intently and makes notes.
"Here's my summary,"
she says, after they've all spoken.
"We have to deliver a fake killing of a civilian who has a contract out on their life. That civilian, David Garnier, will be known as Asset Tallis from now on. The death is to retain Kate's credibility with Zetkin and associates."
She turns to Hans.
"We've got a corpse, have we, Gordon?"
"Yes, the spooks in the British Embassy in Zurich sorted one out. Car accident. A young British guy crashed 2 days ago, and his face took full impact of the collision, so he's unrecognisable."
"Vehicles too?"
"In a garage in the next street."
"And do you both know your roles?"
Gabby looks at each of them in turn, and they nod.
"What is Tallis's mental state, Kate? You've briefed him about what we're going to do, have you?" "He was concerned about his safety, and he still denies any knowledge of why he may be the target. But he seems okay."
"When did you last see him?" says Gabby. Kate blushes.
"This morning."
Hans smiles, but Gabby doesn't.
"You need to be careful, Kate,"
she says.
"A personal relationship in an op is a risk for all of us." "I know. It'll be okay."
Gabby still isn't smiling, and there's a moment of discomfort in the room.
"Anything else on Tallis?"
says Gabby. The others shake their heads.
"Let's move on to Maya Lorenz. My issue is, does she really know who killed Vincent? Was she in the room and escaped, or did something else happen?"
"She seemed very anxious when we talked to her," says Hans, "and out for revenge."
"No word from the Berlin police?"
says Kate. Gabby shakes her head.
"There's an MI6 resource working with them who I've spoken to, but they still think that Maya's the killer."
"And she could be," says Hans. "The story she told us may be all spin to put us off the trail."
"Why is she running there?"
says Kate.
"It makes her look guilty. If she witnessed someone else killing him, she could have just stayed and named the person, and the police would have done the rest." "We're blind until we know who she thinks killed Vincent,"
says Gabby.
"Hans, can you trawl Eberron and see if there's anything more that we've missed?"
He nods and makes a note.
"A question,"
says Kate.
"When we found her, Maya was talking about MI6 not being trustworthy. Do we know any more on that?"
"I spoke to London Control," says Gabby. "The only thing they can think of is that she's been finding it difficult in her role in the last few weeks. She wanted to move to Zurich, but they wouldn't allow it."
"Presumably to be closer to her boyfriend, Vincent."
"It's a risk," says Gabby. "She might have a deeper resentment for some other reason." "What's our next step about locating her, Gab?" says Hans.
London are monitoring all of her real and cover passports and bank cards for usage, and they're running facial recognition on CCTV across Europe. As soon as we get anything, we'll decide how we resource any action. But the priority for the next 2 days is Tallis. Let's get on with it. We've got a man to kill. From the security video screen in her office, Laravel can see the Bentley Bentayga SUV pull up at the gates to the house on the lake. The driver steps out to talk into the metal grille and tells her who is in the car. Laravel buzzes the gates open, then walks to the front door. She opens it as the car draws up outside, and Zetkin steps out into the chill of the November day. "Mr. Zetkin, won't you come in?" she says in French. She walks down the long corridor to the lounge, and Zetkin follows. Amandine is still upstairs, and Laravel offers the man a drink while he's waiting. "You're new?" he says, as she is pouring out a vodka tonic. She turns back to him and hands him the glass. "Yes, only a few weeks. Bernadette is unwell." "What's your background?" His eyes don't move from her face. "I've been a personal assistant for 5 years. Always around Zurich." "Do you like this job?" "Sad about Monsieur Fevrier," she says. "Did you know him?" "I only met him once," says Laravel. "What did you think of him?" He retains his gaze on her. "He seemed nice." "Nothing more than a superficial view," he says. "You're an intelligent woman, I can see." "Not my place, monsieur. Madame will be here in a minute." "I may need a new assistant in the coming weeks," he says. "Here, take my card." He holds out a business card to her, just as Amandine appears in the doorway. Laravel gets the woman a drink too, then leaves them to talk. Zetkin and Amandine sit on one of the sofas. "Oscar, I'm so glad you're here. I can't think of anything but Vincent. What have you found out?" "I spoke to the Berlin police," he says. "There's an inspector there who's on my payroll." She sighs with relief and wraps her fingers around his hand. "Something has come out, Amandine." He looks more serious. "What is it?" "I don't want to shock you, but I assume that you didn't know what I'm going to tell you." "What?" Her voice rises on the air. "Vincent worked for the German federal government." "Of course. He's been in Parliament for 8 years. "Not only that. He was a member of the BFV, the German spy agency." "What's he talking about?" she says. "It's not true, Oscar." "It's being confirmed. The Berlin police investigation team all know." "It can't be." She gets up and goes to the window and turns her back to Zetkin. He leaves an air gap to let her think. The autumn wind ruffles the branches of the trees in the garden. "Was he spying on me?" she says, after a silence. "I don't know. Why would he? How open were you with him about the clients in Friedrich Andersen?" She turns around, takes a deep breath out, and drinks a large gulp of alcohol. "I wasn't open at all. He knew it was a bank. He knew we loaned money. But we never discussed individual clients, irrespective of what business they were in." Zetkin shrugs. "Then he probably wasn't spying on you." He stands and offers to get her another drink. As he returns to her with 2 newly filled glasses, she says, "Did the girl kill him because he was a spy?" "No one knows yet." "What about her? Have you found out who she was?" "No." "What do the police say?"
"They agree with you. She did it."
"There you are, then,"
says Amandine. "But they don't know who she was. They've collected forensics and compared them to all of their databases, but there are no matches. They're trying Interpol now." Amandine is getting frustrated.
"If he was fucking her, Oscar, she can't just have disappeared."
Try and remain calm, my dear, he says. I'll do what I can. But the police have to follow procedures. I'm relying on you, she says, still emphatic. There's no point you worrying about it. Worrying isn't going to make the investigation go faster. Haven't you got people who can help? I've already spoken to them, he says. Things take time. Amandine knocks back another slug of vodka. We'll find her, don't worry, says Etkin, and he squeezes her hand. Gavin didn't sleep well last night. He was expecting Becky to be home, but she didn't turn up. He called the police station late in the evening, and they had confirmed that she'd been released, but they didn't know where she'd gone after that. At least Lily is not here to see him tired and frustrated. Sylvia had been a godsend when she called him yesterday offering to look after the little girl and keep her overnight, to give him and Becky some space to talk when his wife got home. He'll have to think about what to say to Lily, too, later, when he picks her up, to explain why Mummy isn't back yet. He makes tea and toast, and sits reading the headlines on his iPad. In his dressing gown pocket, his phone starts to ring, and he pulls it out. The screen shows unknown number, but he answers in case it's the police station. Hello? Gavin Masters, says the man, on the other end of the line, but he doesn't immediately recognize the voice. Who's this? Charlie Webster, says the caller. We met a couple of times. Our wives are friends. Gavin's heart beats a little faster. Yes, of course, says Gavin. What can I do for you, Charlie? I've got a note from our wife. It says she and your Becky have gone away for a few days, and they've taken Lily. Gavin's mind rolls over, trying to make sense of the news. Gone away? He says. Where? She didn't say, says Charlie. Why have they gone? Just a break, I think. I heard that your wife was arrested by mistake. They're probably just going to have some girly time, you know. Long chats, white wine, and complain about us. Charlie laughs nervously, but Gavin doesn't. When did you get the note? I only got in late, didn't see it last night. Sylvia wasn't home, but she goes away to her mother's every few weeks. I thought she must have gone there. She left the note in the kitchen, on the side. I only saw it just now. She asked me to call you and let you know. Gavin realizes that he's biting his lip and stops himself. What are you doing at lunchtime? He says. We could grab a drink. Maybe we'll have heard from the girls by then. Can't do lunch, Gavin. I can do after work. Meet me at 6 in the Charlotte Street Hotel. You know it? Oh, yes. I know it. Just before 6, Gavin parks his Volvo on Rathbone Street, the next road over from Charlotte Street. With a sense of déjà vu, he walks around to the front of the building and in through the main doors. Charlie has already arrived and is sitting drinking a pint of lager, at the same table where Gavin had photographed him a few days ago. Gavin buys a round of drinks and sits down. No news, he says, and Charlie shakes his head. You? No, nothing. I wouldn't worry, says Charlie. Gives us a bit of time away from our wives, eh? They both take gulps of beer to avoid the awkwardness between them. Charlie, I need to talk to you. The other man looks up. You were here with a girl the other night. A young woman in her 20s. Pretty, dark hair. How do you know that? I saw you. I was over there by the bar. She wanted to talk about careers in procurement, says Webster. She suddenly walked out on you. Charlie drinks more beer and looks glum. I thought I was on a promise. She was all touchy-feely. Then just vanished. Weird, some women. There's the slightest pause, then Masters says, She was MI5, Charlie. He can feel his fingers shaking. and pushes them down on the table to stop them. Eh? MI5, says Gavin. They're watching you.
Charlie looks disbelieving.
Why would they be doing that? Says Gavin.
No idea. How do you know all this, anyway?
Do you know someone called Rose?
Charlie's demeanour shifts suddenly.
No,
he is curt.
I think you do. You've been leaking information to her, haven't you?
Webster drinks again.
What is this?
What are you trying to do here?
Rose told me to tell you to keep quiet.
About what?
Says Webster. Whatever you've been doing. Rose buys information, doesn't she?
How do you know about Rose? Gavin drinks his own beer, as he can't think of an answer. Charlie's eyes narrow. Have you been selling information, Gavin? He gets more lively, as he sees how he can reverse this mousetrap.
Of course not.
Gavin is calm, but he can hear his own voice, and knows that he sounds insincere, even as he says the words. You fucking have, haven't you? You've been fucking leaking, haven't you? Do come play that game, mate. I can go and report you to MI5. I'm sure they'll be very interested in a serving member of Parliament leaking state secrets for cash, presumably. What would the Sunday tabloids say? He swigs another mouthful of alcohol, and smiles as he does so, behind the glass.
Don't be ridiculous. They wouldn't believe you,
says Gavin, without the smoothness that Webster has. You're in the shit, Gav, says Charlie. He stands up. Suggest you leave me alone, unless you want His Majesty's spies to know about you and Rose. Webster walks away and out through the doors. Gavin hesitates, not sure of what to do now, as the meeting was completely different to the one that he had planned. After a few seconds, Gavin stands up and follows Webster out of the building. Gavin turns the corner and can see Webster up ahead. He turns again into Rathbone Street and reaches his parked car. Gavin doesn't have a plan, but unlocks his door and gets inside. He starts the engine and pushes down hard on the accelerator. Webster is walking across to his car on the other side of the street, and he doesn't hear the Volvo behind him. Gavin can see the man getting closer. For a fleeting second, his mind thinks that this would solve it all. All he has to do is keep driving. At the last moment, Webster does hear the engine, and he turns, sees Gavin at the wheel, and only just manages to step aside before the car blasts past him, causing a wall of cold air to push into his face. Gavin doesn't stop, and his tyres squeal as he just navigates the corner at the end of the road and disappears from view, leaving Webster wondering what he needs to do next.